Okay, today we're going to do our layers of the atmosphere notes. So take a look at this picture here. We can see the four layers of the atmosphere that we're going to learn about from the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere. We're going to be going over each one of those individually through these notes. So what is the atmosphere? The atmosphere is the mixture of gases that surrounds the Earth. It's held in place by Earth's gravity. The atmosphere has many functions. So we're going to talk about three functions right here. I want you to highlight them. It protects us from sun's damaging rays. The atmosphere helps maintain temperature of the Earth in a range that is good for living things. It also provides the gases needed by living things. For example, oxygen for animals, carbon dioxide for plants. So let's review that. Make sure that you star this and you number them. The functions of the atmosphere, there are three that we discussed. Protects us from damaging rays of the sun, helps maintain temperature on Earth in a livable range, and finally, it provides the gases that we need for living things like oxygen for animals and carbon dioxide for plants. Now in this slide, we're going to talk about what air pressure is. You might have heard of that on the news perhaps. Um, Air pressure is a measure of the force with which air molecules push on an object. So the higher you go up in the atmosphere, the air pressure decreases because there's fewer air molecules. And that makes sense. We know the higher up we go towards space, there's going to be less breathable air. So there is less air pressure the higher you go. The lower you go, there's higher air pressure. So here's our checkpoint questions. I want you to remember I asked you those three main ways that the atmosphere helps protect life on Earth. I want you to list them here. And then number two, space is a vacuum, meaning that there's no air molecules there. What would the air pressure in space compare to the air pressure on Earth? So what do you think? Let's take a look at the answers. Here's the three ways that the atmosphere helps protect life on Earth. And then the answer for number two is that if there's no air pressure in outer space, it would be much lower than the air pressure on Earth because we know that there's no air in outer space. What are the layers of the atmosphere? So remember, the atmosphere is all together a mixture of gases that surround Earth. Now the layers, we're going to learn the four layers. The layers are in order from where we're sitting right now. We are in the troposphere. Above that is the stratosphere, then the mesosphere, and finally the thermosphere. So the layers of the atmosphere, look at the second sentence here. It says that, let me put my pointer on, if I can, here it is. So right over here, if you can see, since gravity is stronger near Earth's surface, there are more gas molecules closer to the surface. The air in the atmosphere is held in place by Earth's gravity. The gravity is what holds air in place. Now, in order to remember these layers in order, there is a mnemonic that we use. It's pretty funny. The silly monkey talks. That should help us remember that one, troposphere, that's what we're in. Sitting right now in the troposphere. Think we like the tropics. So that's the T that starts it all off. We're in the troposphere. The silly, the next one would be the stratosphere. Monkey, that would be the mesosphere. And finally, talks for the thermosphere. So those are the layers of the atmosphere in order from lowest to highest. Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere. Let's go over them one at a time. The troposphere, that's where you are right now. It's the lowest layer of the atmosphere, the layer closest to the surface. It's the layer where weather occurs. Star that and highlight it. It's the densest layer. That by dense, it means it has the most air of any of the layers. And that's good because we need air to breathe, so that's why we live in the troposphere. As you go higher in the troposphere, the temperature is going to get cooler. Next is the stratosphere. That's the layer above where we are. The stratosphere is where the ozone layer is found. We're going to talk about the ozone layer in a second. The ozone layer blocks some of the sun's UV rays, and that protects us from those rays. And it also helps keep the Earth cool. As you go higher in the stratosphere, the temperature actually increases a little. Here's a slide about the ozone layer. Remember, we have to remember the ozone layer is in the stratosphere, and it blocks the ultraviolet rays, and it keeps the Earth cool. Those are the two main functions of the ozone layer. It blocks the rays and keeps us cool. The ozone layer, you may have heard this on the news, can be damaged by certain chemicals which cause the ozone to break up. That could be very harmful for life on Earth. Remember once again the last sentence there, that the ozone layer is in the stratosphere. Okay, the mesosphere. So remember, we went troposphere, stratosphere, now we're in mesosphere. M should remind you of meteor, and we can see a meteor right here in the picture. The mesosphere is where most meteors burn up as they pass through our atmosphere. So meteors burn up in the mesosphere. The mesosphere is also the coldest layer. So when that hot meteor hits that cold mesosphere, it just burns up and disintegrates. Our next and last layer that we're learning about is the thermosphere. So remember, troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere. The thermosphere is the highest layer of the atmosphere. It's the last layer before we get to outer space. There are very few air molecules in the thermosphere. The air molecules in the thermosphere can be very hot. It's closest to the sun. It could be over 1,000 degrees Celsius. The outer portion of the mesosphere is the transition from the atmosphere to outer space. Actually, that should say the outer portion of the thermosphere. That's incorrect on the slide. The outer portion of the thermosphere, that's where our atmosphere ends, outer space begins. The thermosphere is made up of the ionosphere and the exosphere. So it has actually two little subspheres in it. So we have the thermosphere, we have the ionosphere, and then the exosphere. The ionosphere, you're going to see potentially a test question. That's where the aurora borealis is. I'm not sure if we have a good picture of it here. It doesn't look like it. I'll show you one when we're back in class together. So the aurora borealis is going to be in the ionosphere, and then that extra layer of the thermosphere, the exosphere, that's really where outer space begins. All right, here's our checkpoint questions. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to show you the answers for them. Take a moment and fill them in. Notice one thing interesting here, actually, though, before I shut this off. This question one, if you're on a spaceship coming from outer space, remember you're starting in space. Now tell me the order of the atmospheres that you will pass through as you go from space to Earth, okay? Then finally, number two, for each layer of the atmosphere, list one important characteristic. I'm going to show you the answers now. Make sure you copy these in your notebooks. So remember, from space to Earth, it's reversed. Thermosphere, mesosphere, stratosphere, troposphere. Then here we have each of those four layers and then the key characteristic that you need to remember, okay? So write those in your notebooks.